Hello everyone, this is Logan, and welcome to the 15th episode of Tech Time. Unfortunately, this week I don't have anything clever to say to start the show off, so let's move on to the first thing. You know, for the last 30 years or so, Apple has always been the innovator, but lately it seems like they've been copying other innovators. Case in point, well, first of all, the sort of Windows Mobile-esque vibe that lies within iOS 7, but also a new feature they are supposedly adding to Beta 3 of iOS 7, the ability to move your head to control the operating system. For example, if you quickly move your head left, it will bring you back to the home screen, and you can move your head up and down to go up and down in the app that you are running. And again, as I said, they are copying. And who are they copying? None other than Samsung and their Galaxy phone line, which, of course, is pretty much cracked Android, but that was one of the features they put into Android. So, you know, it seems like it's kind of the other way around. I mean, if you used to remember, Android would often copy iOS, and to some degrees they still kind of do, but not to the point that they were back in 2009 or 2010. But now it seems that the tables have turned, and Android and Google are the bigger innovators, and Apple really isn't. And don't get me wrong, this very well could just iron out what Samsung couldn't, but who knows? Now, this did come from 9to5Mac, and if you're not familiar with them, if you remember a few weeks ago when I covered WWDC and how everything worked, or how everything was going to work, you will know that they pretty much got it spot on. That came from 9to5Mac. And knowing the accuracy of their rumors, it's quite likely that we're going to see some kind of motion-controlled thing. So anyway, on to the next thing. Say there, kiddies, how would you like to have X-Ray Vision? Yeah, so you can spy on your friends, or your family, or your teachers, or your neighbors, or anybody else who happens to be behind a wall. Yes, somebody at MIT apparently figured out how to get X-ray vision with no more than this little device and the Wi-Fi in your house. Now, this works by, well, pretty much MIT magic. But to describe it in layman's terms as much as possible, it pretty much has to do with Wi-Fi and it somehow being able to magically reflect what is behind the other wall into your brain. Yeah, MIT magic is just easier to demonstrate, but nevertheless, it does work. Now, you could use it for stupid things like I mentioned, you know, your friends, your family, your neighbors, especially if you've loaned your friend an expensive iPad and you want to make sure it's not broken, and if it is broken, hope he doesn't blame the dog or something like that. But you could also use it for practical things. For example, the military could be using them for, well, obvious reasons. And also, let's say you have a feeling that somebody is stalking you late at night. You could quickly put on these X-ray goggles and see. So, again, that is kind of nice. Now, it's unsure whether this is going to be sold to the public or not, so that we can use it for stupid things, but it is still kind of cool, and, you know, if it is, maybe I might buy it just to impress my friends and, you know, make them a bit jealous before they buy another one, and then I have nothing to be jealous about. But whatever. Anyway, on to the last thing. How much would you spend on an Apple computer? $1,000, $2,000, maybe even $3,000? Well, how about $300,000? Yep, that's right. An Apple One computer recently went on auction with a starting bid of, well, $300 grand. And in fact, it's still on auction. So if you happen to be some kind of millionaire and get the highest bid, you can pick it up. As long as it's before July 9th. That's when the auction ends. Now, as you can see by this photo, it is quite primitive in design. We have no mouse, obviously. That wasn't introduced until the Macintosh about 10 years later. We have no monitor. Heck, not even a case for the circuit board, power supply, not even a transformer. The user would have to provide those things themselves. Also, it came with some software for things like a word processor, and probably most interesting of all, some blueprints for a portable computer. So even back then, Apple was thinking of the laptop. And that's not even the most interesting part. This was one of the first 25 computers made by Apple. And you want to know how many computers they actually made? 200. So you think Apple phases out their computers fast now. Which meant that it was signed by Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple. So, yeah, quite a good steal, if you ask me. Well, not really a steal, because, it's $300,000, but it's quite an interesting auction, and it'd be interesting if the person who ended up buying it could do, like, a review on YouTube, because I haven't seen any on the Apple one quite yet. So anyway, that's all for this week. Stay tuned for next week.